Good afternoon, friends. I'm George Latimer, Westchester County Executive, and I'm here to help celebrate UN Day, United Nations Day, which is celebrated across the United States and certainly here in Westchester County. I'm joined today, and you're going to hear each of them share a few words, by Dr. Brenda Smith, who is a board member for the UNA of Westchester County. We have with us the chairman of the Westchester County Board of Legislators, the Honorable Ben Boykin, the majority leader of the County Board of Legislators, the Honorable Mary Jane Shimsky, and the mayor of the city of White Plains, our host community, the Honorable Tom Roach. Each of them will be speaking in just a second, and they'll have a proclamation to give to Dr. Smith on behalf of their jurisdictions to recognize United Nations Day. This year marks the 75th anniversary of the United Nations, and I think perhaps for those of us who have lived most of our lives with the United Nations in place don't really appreciate what a revolutionary idea it was in its day. For those of us who went through our American history lessons, and I'm not going to bore you by advertising how little I actually know about these things, there was quite a debate in the United States after World War I about the creation of an organization that could link the nations of the world, then the League of Nations, and that, of course, occurred without the participation of the United States. But after World War II, a much more deadly war that engulfed all the nations of the world, we realized that we needed a forum that could link us together in dialogue to try to avoid violence and war if possible, to link us together to share our collective wisdom in science and in education in a host of different ways. And those here in Westchester County that have been committed to the United Nations mission, those amongst us, have worked very hard to advance the goals of the United Nations locally and, of course, connected to the worldwide scope of this by making us conscious that the world is bigger than just the town we live in or the county we live in or the state or even the nation that we live in, that we have to work together as partners and as colleagues across this planet to try to do the things that are necessary to help human survival in the years to come. Let me introduce Dr. Brenda Smith, who I previously identified as a board member for UNA of Westchester County. She and other members of her organization, Marcia Brewster, Yana Edwards, and others have done a yeoman's work here in Westchester County, and we're very honored to have so well-known an educator and a person involved in this community as Dr. Brenda Smith. Dr. Smith.
Thank you very much, Mr. County Executive. A very pleasant to all of you, good afternoon to all of you. As Chair of Partnerships for the United Nations Association of Westchester, I am indeed pleased to welcome you all and to thank our County Executive for this wonderful opportunity. To the distinguished Mayor of the City of White Plains, New York, Mayor Thomas Roach, and to the Chairman of the Westchester County Board of Legislators, the Honorable Benjamin Boykin, and to the distinguished member of the County Board of Legislators, the Honorable Mary Jane Shimsky, and to all of you. Thank you very much for honoring the United Nations, Mr. County Executive, and the United Nations Association of Westchester in your recognition of the United Nations 75th anniversary. Mayor Thomas Roach, I believe, as the county executive said, has something to present to us, and I thank you, sir. Would you like to do that at this time? Mr. All right, Mr. Chairman of the Board of Legislators, I want to thank you as you come, because you and the Westchester County Board of Legislators passed, if you will, the Convention on the Elimination of Discrimination Against Women, and we thank you very much. So in the order that the county executive so noted.
Sometimes tough to get those off. Thank you, Dr. Smith, and good evening, everyone, or good afternoon, everyone. I'm joined today by my colleague, the Majority Leader of the Board of Legislators, the Honorable Mary Jane Shimsky, who you will hear from very shortly. This marks the 75th anniversary of the United Nations. It was signed, the charter was signed in June of 1945, but it did not take effect until October of that year. So this is the 75th month of the United Nations. It came up because of the tragedies of World War II. And as the county executive said earlier, we had the League of Nations, that didn't work, and we went to the UN. In many ways, since 1945, the world has gotten larger. The population has tripled. But it's also gotten smaller with international travel, with the global economy, and with the revolutionary changes in technology. We can speak to anyone, anywhere, at any time. These changes have created some great challenges for us in this world. New demands on our global resources, the impact on climate change, the threat of non-state terrorism, and rising global pandemics, and we're in a pandemic as we speak. In this new environment, the new United Nations is more important than it has ever been before. And just at the time that it has become more important, nations are turning inward. They're saying, we don't want people from outside our borders. But with the globalization of the world, that will not work and cannot work. So it is so important that we continue to move forward with the work of the United Nations. And we want to thank you all for what you're doing, the United Nations Association of Westchester County. And now I'm going to ask my colleague, Legislator Mary Jane Shimsky, Majority Leader, to join me as we present this proclamation to you, Dr. Smith, and Ms. Bruce, if you would. Okay, all come up. Please, please, all come up. Yes, why don't we do this now? And
County Executive?
yes, why don't you all take this?
All right, there we go, yeah.
We will socially distance here, and we're presenting this proclamation, and it says Monday, October 26th, is UN Nations Day, Westchester County. We will have you on the Jumbotron either
Yay.
Tuesday or Wednesday next week. We'll be
Okay.
notified.
Great.
But we want to say congratulations for your 75th anniversary.
Thank you so much.
And with that, Legislator Shimsky.
Thank you so much.
Honorable Shimsky, we thank you very much because you also support us.
Thank you very much, Dr. Smith, and thank you very much to the county executive and his team for this event today. You know, world trade isn't anything new. Immigration isn't anything new. It's been going on as long as there's been people. But as there are more people in the world, there's more and more chaos, which is why we need ways to make sure we can all talk to each other, regardless of what country we inhabit or what social, economic, religious, or ethnic group we belong to. As was pointed out before, it's only been the last 100 years or so that we've had serious attempts at finding a way to help countries of the world peacefully resolve their differences through a permanent association. The League of Nations after World War I did not work, to a large extent because the United States did not join it. We decided as a country that we were not going to make that mistake again after World War II ended up being so much more horrible than the First World War. So we were glad to become a charter member of the United Nations. Almost every country in the world belongs to it. And yes, we still have wars, but we have far fewer wars, and generally wars of shorter duration and severity, because the United Nations can come in and help the nations of the world bring peace to their peoples. They also do yeoman's work with social reform, with infrastructure, with cultural enrichment, with environmental projects. And in fact, if you want to learn more about that work, there's no better way of doing it than through the United Nations Association of Westchester County. Brenda and Marcia and their organization has fabulous programs that you can learn the state of the art on so many topics of mutual concern, and as well as what the United Nations and what countries are doing to make the world a better place for their citizens. So I'm so glad that we are honoring the United Nations and the United Nations Association on the 75th anniversary. And now, because we are not done with distributing the hardware yet, it's now time for Mayor Roach.
Thank you so much.
Well, hardware's not in our budget, it's software. But it's my pleasure to be with you all here today, and I really want to express my appreciation to the United Nations Association of Westchester County for keeping the role of the United Nations on a high profile, because we're in a time when certain leaders are trying to remove our country from communication with other countries, not recognizing how intertwined we all are. I was 8 years old when they landed on the moon, and I was a big follower of astronauts and reading everything they would say. And one thing they all had in common is the awe they felt when they were standing on the moon and looked back and just how small the Earth is in this gigantic universe, and we all share it. And you would think that right now we're getting a reminder of why it's important that we work together. There are so many things that we need to do together. Peace needs to be done together. You can't do it in your own country. The pandemic is an example. Working together, either we all work together to eradicate the disease, or we will get nowhere. And I think that when you look at the world as it is today, working together is how we can make things better. And so I'm very pleased to be here today. I have fond memories when I was in elementary school of going on a class trip to the United Nations, and I was a stamp collector getting my UN stamps and being so impressed by the whole operation and the translation facilities and everything. And so I, as Thomas M. Roach, as mayor of the city of White Plains, do hereby proclaim October 24th, 2020 as United Nations Day in the city of White Plains. And I would like to present that to the members of the local association.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor.
So that's the real UN Day, October
Yes, the
24th.
24th. Thank you
Open
so
it,
very,
yeah.
very much.
Okay.
And
We have to stand in
Yeah.
front here.
Our vice president is Marcia Brewster.
I'm very familiar with Raina. How would the mayor not know Raina?
But you all stay right there. Stay right there. You got one more to go. So just to show that, unlike what people think, that governments can't work together, this is a moment in which the city and the county are in complete harmony and agreement, where the legislative branch and the executive branch are in complete agreement, because we have in the Office of the County Executive a similar proclamation, so you can hang them side by side. It's the fourth time this year we've agreed on something. I think we should all, yes, please, let's all for one photo op, and then we'll raise the flag. Brenda, you in the middle.
Thank you so very, very much, Mr. County Executive. Okay.
I think Brenda just wants to tell you about our program.
You tell about the program, and
Okay.
then I'll close it off with the flag.
Mr. County Executive and all of these distinguished individuals know that we are indeed grateful to you for taking this time from your busy schedule to celebrate with us. On October 25th, and I wish to share this with you, at 3 p.m., our United Nations Association of Westchester will bring together its members, guests, and the local community for its celebration of United Nations Day. Because of COVID-19 restrictions, our event will be held virtually, of which you may already be aware. This year's theme is UN 75, Present Progress, Past, Present, Progress. The specific focus of our UN Day event will be peace, justice, and strong institutions, which was selected as the top priority Sustainable Development Goal number 16 at the Global Consultation UNA Westchester held at the end of May. The event will feature ambassadors, diplomats, and experts, as well as a youth panel. The discussion will feature speakers on women's rights and peacekeeping as fostered by the United Nations, the effect of COVID-19 on education globally and locally, and a musical interlude of 26 UN ambassadors singing Heal the World. The youth panel will highlight youth activities in Westchester, working to make the world a better place. A networking session will follow the program. Please join us. Now, you must register in advance at www.unawestchester.org to get the Zoom link. Again, that's www.unawestchester.org to get the Zoom link. And we really hope that you will join us. Again, to all of you, and as I mentioned, I cannot thank you enough, Mr. County Executive, for taking time, you and these distinguished individuals, to celebrate with us today. And those of you who have worked with us, thank you, and continue to work with us. Now, membership is only $25, an introduction membership. Thank you again so very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So now for the final part of our program today, I would invite you to take a look at the flagpole as we raise on behalf of the Westchester County Board of Legislators, the Office of the County Executive, and our friends in the city of White Plains, the UN flag to honor UN Day, October 24th. Thank you all for being here in attendance. Again, to Dr. Smith, Marsha Brewster, all from the UN Westchester organization, and my colleagues in government, thank you. Thank you for being with us today. Have a good day and stay safe.